So we could do those calculations. We could do those calculations, that is, by, what do you call it, by, I guess, a calculator. Although I'm sure you could do it by hand if you really want to. Okay? However, there is something called a TVM solver. I think that stands for time, value, and money. And it turns out what's nice is that GeoGebra, someone actually wrote an app for this through GeoGebra. And no, it wasn't me. Okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually use it. They also do show in the book how to use it if you have a TI graphing calculator, like a TI-83. You could actually access it. This is the notation that they use with it. Let me just say this now, but then I'll get to it, the TVM solver. This is the website for it. I also did post a link for it through Blackboard. Okay. I mean, you could probably, I mean, you don't have to buy a graphing calculator. I know they're expensive. I know there was an app I bought for my iPhone. It also goes onto my iPad. But it's a calculator, kind of like the TI-83 graphing calculator. And it was $6. It wasn't too expensive. I don't think Desmos has a program TVM app built into it. At least I don't think so. But anyway, with a TVM solver, it basically does the calculation for you, but the notation's a little bit different, which is really annoying. So, for instance, capital N is the first thing in there. Okay? Basically, that's just going to be little n times little t. It's how many payments you're making times the number of years. It's n times t in our annuity formula. You'll see, I will share a screen of it shortly, but there's also capital I. We call that the annual percent rate. Again, it's the APR, but you write it as a percent, though, which is, I know, crazy, because usually we write it as a decimal, but you leave it as a percent. PV stands for present value. That's basically the beginning amount, our principal. You know, how much we'll have now in the present time. PMT, again, is payment amount. FV is future value. That's how much we're going to have in the end after some time. You know, how much you'll have in your retirement account if you're trying to calculate it. You're trying to calculate FV. You'll also see this. This is payments per year, compound periods per year. Generally, these are going to be the same, okay, in this class. I mean, theoretically, they don't have to be, but it does get more complicated. So these are the same. That's what we're going to do. Okay, let me just get to the screen and I'll explain this shortly. Let me get to that, what do you call it, the TVM screen. See, I have it here, so I got to share it, don't I? Okay, polling. Application. I got to stop sharing this for a second. So let me get to that web page. Let me see. Here it is. All right. Okay, I hope everyone can see this. Okay, this is that TVM solver. Again, the link, there is a link I posted on Blackboard in the content section. There's also that link on the slides, but this is our TVM solver. Let me get to that. Okay. But again, this is our n, which is little n times little t. Capital I is the APR, but you're writing it as a percent. PV is basically the principal, how much you have now. PMT, that's the monthly payments or monthly withdrawals. FV is how much you'll have in the future, future value. And P/Y, that's the number of payment periods per year. C/Y is how many compounding periods per year. Basically, the whole idea is once you fill in all the information you have, you're going to click one of these things here, whatever it is, okay? And that will give you what you're looking for, okay? I mean, there is, again, one programmed in your TI-83 calculator. I didn't require that for the class. That's why I'm so grateful I found this app. So, I mean, the worst thing is you could just use the formula, which, again, is not terrible. But, all right. Now, what can happen, though, that's kind of annoying also, is some of the values here, like PMT, could be negative. And in other words, this could actually give you negative numbers, and sometimes you may have to put in a negative number. The idea is this: if you have cash flowing away from you, like if you're making a deposit, right? You're putting money into an account, in other words, then that number will be negative. If you're paying something, your money's going away from you somehow. Even into an account that you own, it's still negative. But if money's coming directly to you, like money you're earning, that is going to be positive. That will be positive. You know, if you're taking money out of an account, let's say, that will be a positive number. You'll see when we do some examples. Not only that, well, in particular, excuse me, when you make a deposit or like a payment, that's going to be negative because, again, that's money coming out of you, so to say. All right, let me get to the next slide. Then we'll do some examples. Okay, I got to stop sharing this. Okay. Let me get back to the slides. Okay, good. Just give it a second. There it is. Okay. But again, this is what I was saying, though. Like, you can have negative and positive values in that solver. Not from the formulas, but using that solver, some values have to be negative. But again, the interpretation is as I have down here. You know, if cash is going away from you, you're paying somehow, you're putting it into an account, that's negative. So for the monthly deposits, it would be negative 100 in that TVM solver. But if you're taking money out of that account, you know, like once you retire, let's say, the amount you take out would be positive. All right, let's do an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an example with the formula, and I'll do one with, well, now I'm going to do an example with that TVM solver. So let's go back to that Mary example where she's depositing $100 into the IRA account, right? It's earning 9% interest. We want to know how much she's going to have in 20 years, right? So this is the data that we would put into that solver. I'll do it now. But again, notice that she's making monthly payments of $100. So PMT here is negative 100, as you can see. I%, that's the interest rate, our APR, which in this case is 9, as you can see. Okay. Capital N, right? That's going to be, again, N times T, right? 12 payments per year times 20 years, 240 payments, monthly payments, that is. FV, I mean, it's over here, but I got this from TVM, the TVM solver. But that's actually unknown because we're looking to see how much she'll have in the account down the road. That comes later. And in that account, we're assuming, as we saw in the calculations, there's nothing in there initially. And these two are the same. As I said before, they're both, in this case, going to be 12. There are 12 compounding periods a year. Or monthly payments, in other words, payments per year, compounding periods per year. Each one is 12. But again, notice the negative here. I know at first it's like, what the heck? That number's negative. That's got to be a mistake. But as I said before, it has to be negative because you're making a payment. All right, now let me go to that TVM solver just to illustrate. So I have to, oh, this is annoying. I got to share that screen again. Okay, I got to stop this. Now put in those values. All right. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to put in those values. I have the slides in front of me. I mean, let me put those in here. So we have N, we said was 12 times 20, 240. 240. Okay. I was 9%. Okay, PV, how much is in the account now, is 0. FV is how much is what we're looking for. Our PMT is negative 100, right? Because again, she's making monthly payments, right? So it's negative 100. And these two are both equal to 12, as we said. Now we want to solve for FV. That's what we're looking for. So I click that, and we get this, which is actually what we had from before. Okay. It's actually what we had before, if I remember correctly. Yep, that's what we got. Good. Okay. So our answer, again, is $66,788. And I think it rounded for you at 69 cents. That's just an example with the TVM solver. Again, let me stop this. Okay. But again, that's just an example with it. So it's really not terribly hard to use. The book does go into how to use the one that's in your TI-83 graphing calculator. I think it's TI-83 or 84. But again, it's not terrible to use. So, all right, let me just pause the recording.